Welcome to episode 23 of Motivating Mondays, a weekly podcast and YouTube series dedicated to help Canadian job developers and other employer engagement professionals develop the tools, resources, skills, and expertise to excel in achieving sustainable employment outcomes for their clients or students. My name is Christian St. Cyr, National Director of the Canadian Job Development Network, and today we're going to discuss workplace accommodations with employers. While accommodations for those with disabilities are what people might first think about, there are actually lots of supports that employers can provide that will contribute to a long-lasting, high-contribution workforce. As we meet today, millions of Canadians are impacted by the first day of school, truly the most wonderful time of the year. Sorry. I promised myself I wasn't going to get emotional about this. It's been a long summer. It's a day that brings into clear focus one of the most valuable labor pools employers regularly fail to consider, and that's stay-at-home parents without childcare alternatives. Accommodating this group could result in a vast, loyal group of employees that employers regularly ignore. According to the July 2025 Labor Force Survey, there are about 5.17 million working-age adults who are not working, looking for work, or going to school full-time. Of this number, 3.14 million are women. That is more than 60%. When we talk about people who are not participating in the labor market, why do women outnumber men to such a degree? Partially because women are most often the caregivers, not only of children, but of the elderly, the infirm, and those with disabilities. Women are also far more likely to not participate in the labor market due to the unaffordability or the unavailability of childcare. When I get to meet employers, I often suggest they create their own internal program for stay-at-home parents. I suggest they provide employment that starts at 9:15 a.m. and concludes at 2:45 p.m., or slight variations based on an employee's child's school schedule. Build in opportunities to work from home on sick days, during winter, spring breaks, professional days, perhaps during the summer. If an employer is looking for someone who must work full-time, then they can still do this, but provide opportunities to work part of their day as flex time, or completing their hours each week in the evening or on the weekend. The cost of childcare is a major concern for parents these days. 1/4 of those with children at home, 27%, say savings in childcare would be an important benefit any employer could provide. This is according to a recent poll by Angus Reid Institute. Now, back in the day when I was pitching this to employers prior to the pandemic, many would say, well, this is absolutely impossible. But hybrid employment and remote employment have become so common, it's hard to make the argument that it can't be accommodated. Now, your first response might be, well, this would never work with the employers that I'm assisting. They need people in retail and hospitality and healthcare and childcare and manufacturing. They need people who are on the floor. They don't have flexibility in hours. While this is true, many jobs require in-person work, I'm suggesting to you that we could tailor this option to employers that are having difficulty where this isn't a challenge. I'm talking about jobs in administration or marketing or accounting or engineering and telesales and web development, communication, social media, data analysis, software development, or even design. These can all function as hybrid employment, if not completely remote jobs. Many employers who already accommodate hybrid employment want employees to come in at least 3 days per week. That's about 60% of the time. This approach of letting people work while kids are at school has employees in the workplace almost 70% of the time. So what do you say to the employer who says, we offer people great salaries, a comprehensive benefits package, and 3 weeks vacation a year. We don't need to create individualized plans for individual employees. First of all, it's not likely that you'd even be talking to them if this strategy was working for them. But there is a problem with these approaches being an employer's response to continued job vacancy. If you offer a good salary, employees will often leave for a better salary. If you offer a comprehensive benefits package and 3 weeks of vacation, it's easy to leave for better benefits and, 4 weeks of vacation. One of the best things that we can do is advise employers to create individualized plans for their individual employees. Now, if my employer allows me to drop off my kids before work and leave to pick them up when they're done, I might be tempted to apply for a job that pays, I don't know, $5 more per hour, but I have no idea whether this new employer will accommodate my kids' school schedule. It's actually very likely that they won't accommodate that. Our message as job developers and employer engagement professionals needs to be that workplace accommodations create loyal employees. If an employer modifies a delivery van to support an employee with a disability, it's extremely hard to find a delivery job elsewhere with that same accommodation. The restaurant who pays their managers extra to drive employees home after the buses have stopped running isn't likely to lose those employees to another restaurant. By the way, I'm not saying here that workplace accommodations are to trap workers into jobs. It is a reality that tailored accommodations in one job isn't necessarily easy to find in another job with that same accommodation. But it does speak to the integrity of an employer who is willing to make that accommodation in the first place. There are lots of accommodations employers can make. One of the most often discussed areas in the workplace accommodations are for those individuals with disabilities, such as physical, visual, auditory, mental health, developmental, or neurodiversity challenges. According to the Canadian Association for Supported Employment, CASE, accommodation is as much about organizational culture and trust as it is about the policies that are created and the legal rules that are in place. An open and accepting culture towards accommodation will increase cooperation with employees and reduce conflict in the accommodation process, leading to more successful accommodations in the future. Success builds on success. This is why you find yourself working with the same employers again and again, because they realize the benefit of these sorts of accommodations. CASE suggests accommodations could include, but are certainly not limited to, changes to organizational policies and practices, changes to physical workspace, adaptations of equipments or tools or uniforms used, flexible hours or job sharing, relocation of the workspace within the workplace, the ability to work from home, reallocation or exchange of some non-essential tasks for others, and time off for medical appointments. Whether it's in the form of workplace modifications, flexible scheduling, access to transportation, skills enhancement, mentorship, or personalized plans for advancement, employers can demonstrate commitment to being an employer of preference through care, and the care and attention it provides individual employees. Whenever you look at a list of prominent employers, the top eco employers, the top family employers, the top youth employers, what we typically find is they are evaluated on blanket supports that they provide all employees, such as retirement contributions or extended health or professional development funding, workplace perks, or even health and wellness programs. And while these are great programs for attracting employees, I don't argue with the programs. All too often, they are programs that can easily be quantified and evaluated to determine whether another employer is going to provide a similar or better benefit. When an employer recognizes the individual's when an employer recognizes the individual supports they can provide to individual employees, it demonstrates they genuinely care for and wish to support these employees. It's about character and being able to look beyond the bottom line to see how they can support individuals in a meaningful way. Employers who embrace inclusive hiring and are willing to have genuine conversations about alternatives in this area not only are far more likely to engage in job development supports, but also sustain employees in difficult times and contribute to long-term employment outcomes. Next week, we are offering our groundbreaking workshop, Developing a Comprehensive Approach to Job Development. I'm really excited. We have one session for each time zone. We're starting on Monday in the Pacific time zone and ending the week in the Atlantic time zone on Friday. We have over 200 job developers and other employer engagement professionals currently registered to take this training next week. If you or your colleagues haven't yet registered, we need to hear from you by the end of this week. Just go to jobdevelopment.org/pro-D and you can register and learn everything else you need to know. Our National Networking Day for Job Developers is also nearly here, and we hope you can join us in your community on September 19th. If there isn't a session happening in your community, I've also modified an online version for everyone, regardless of where they work. If you haven't yet registered for that, or you want to see if there's an opportunity in your community, just go to jobdevelopment.org/NND. Thank you so much for joining us. Please click the like or subscribe button in your platform. Search for Motivating Mondays. Motivating Mondays, yes. Wherever you download podcasts, we'd also love it if you could follow our YouTube channel and or rate or review this podcast. Now, we do these sessions live and for free every Monday morning on Microsoft Teams with job developers from across Canada, and it would be so great if you could join us. Just go to jobdevelopment.org to learn more. If you have any questions, just send us an email. Our email address is info@jobdevelopment.org. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an amazing week.